2019. We've done these visual guides for the last few times around for the expo. It seems to help a lot of people. With that being said, we know a lot of things change. It's a very unique show. I think a lot of fans have a love-hate relationship with it over the last few years. I know we do. If you listen to our past podcasts on the show, you know there's things that we absolutely love and there's some things we absolutely hate about the show. And it usually falls into two categories. I mean, as soon as we posted that we were going to be doing this video and things, it was kind of the two things. It's like, oh my God, the content that comes out of the show, the properties that are on display, the characters, all of that cool stuff. And then there's the other side of like how lines are managed, and oftentimes kind of a shrugging attitude about things on the floor. There's a lot of those challenges that come. So we will give you what we have as we're shooting this. Now this year we are planning to do more with videos. We want to do an actual specific guide to the actual floor and things like that. So we're going to do more just in terms of video content as well as social media leading into D23 Expo this year. So this will be kind of our starter video. We'll hit on a few topics here and then watch for more as we are leading in these next 3 weeks there. So first off about the show, if you've not been, I mean, I'm sure you know if you're watching this, it's a celebration of all things owned by Disney these days, which is a wide umbrella when you consider now with Fox and Simpsons and all that being present as well. As a result, it's brought really some of the biggest parts of intellectual property of pop culture all here this summer, and with that is going to come huge crowds and a lot of competition for everything. Because of that, though, the show is, despite that I should say, the show is really unique in that it is not like any other convention, at least that we cover, in that it doesn't follow a lot of the norms of conventions. It's very much a controlled message. It's controlled. The panels are very well controlled, and there's not a lot of impromptu things or in terms of filling of it. That said, again, the operations side does feel much more loose, and they're kind of figuring it out as they go. And so that's been kind of, I think, a constant battle. And we'll talk about some examples of that, and we'll talk about maybe some ways to compete with that and deal with that as we go along with that. You also notice I'm going to be looking at my notes a lot more probably in this video than I normally do for like a San Diego Comic-Con video, just because there's a lot of detail, a lot of specifics that are difficult to memorize, and there's a lot of things that just about this show are not really intuitive. I feel like even just looking at the website, trying to find information, it doesn't work the same as something like San Diego Comic-Con, where I feel like a lot of things there are kind of naturally, this is how they fit. This feels like what it is, which is D23 Expo is something that happens every couple years, and it's kind of a thing that's thrown off to the side, and it's something that's, it's not that they don't care about it, because they definitely do. They want to do a fantastic job with it, but it is not their main thing. The people that run the show, it's not that they are, running a show every couple months or every year or something like that, where you do have something like Comic-Con International, where they have WonderCon, they have San Diego Comic-Con, they're constantly in that motion of running a show. This is different. 2 years, things come into focus, and we try it all over again there. And I know for ourselves, even looking at what is there. But that being said, they are trying to do some new things. We will talk more in this video about some of the changes in terms of what they're saying about online reservation systems. We're excited to see what changes are there and see where that all goes. Now, in terms of tickets, if you've not picked up your tickets yet, as of yet, Saturday is sold out. 3-day batches are sold out, so you would be only with Friday or Sunday. Again, that's as of recording this. Not sure if that'll change, maybe changing as we speak here, but definitely check that out quickly if you're planning to come out to the show. Also, badges are said to be shipping around August 5th, and they will come with directions about activating the badge before you come down to the con this year, so keep an eye out for more information about all of that as well. If you are later getting your tickets, you will need to come down here, pick them up at Will Call, which is over kind of in the arena side there. There'll be a bit of a line for it, and so plan accordingly with that. There will be, if past holds from last year, there will be a bag check, metal detector checks. Not the fastest thing in the world, not the slowest either in terms of what we've seen at conventions, kind of middle of the road, but a huge number of guests here, which can make it feel a lot slower with that. Remember, no beverages allowed inside the convention center, Anaheim Convention Center. So with that said, let's get moving and talk about some more things about the show. All right, real quick, let's talk about just gold memberships. If you are a D23 gold member, that is a highly recommended thing. There is a lot of different ways that can help, and we saw it mostly on the floor. I mean, they definitely talk about the discounted tickets. That's nice in advance. There is the D23 Expo gift. There is the lounge on the floor. All of them great, but in addition to those, there are various discounts at exhibitor booths along the floor, as well as some freebies that we found that were specifically for D23 Expo members. So if you are a D23 Expo member, make sure you've got your card. Make sure to seek those out, and it doesn't hurt at every booth you go to. It doesn't hurt to ask if it gets you. We found there were some that were not being advertised at all, and we asked them, they'd be like, oh, here's a keychain, or here's a button, or here's this or that. So don't be shy about really trying to exercise that muscle if you are a D23 Expo member, and check out what advantages it can give you on the floor. Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple general things about the floor, but different than past years where we got into more of the details of some of the types of exhibitors and booths and things like that, and we've kind of mashed it into this video. We're going to do an entirely separate video, or at least that's the plan right now, of just looking at the map and talking about some of the things there. So that said, I want to talk a little more big picture about the floor. So first off, you can expect it being open 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is what is kind of the stated hours there. In terms of getting in, one thing to remember, if you are not a Sorcerer Package member, there are more Sorcerer Package people than you think. And what I mean by that is Sorcerer Packages that, sell out in an instant, upgraded VIP package, which looks amazing. It gives so many cool benefits. It's super expensive, but it sells out instantly. But the one thing that we've noticed over the years is the advantage that they get on the floor. Things go very quickly to them, whether it's spots in exclusive lines, whether it's spots for signings. We found oftentimes being on the floor like first thing right after that, a lot of times signings were still out of tickets or things like that from Sorcerers. So just make sure to understand that people are on the floor ahead of time. If you're not a Sorcerer, if you're a Sorcerer, I think you have a great time and you'll be able to pick up lots of extra things there. But if you're not, do be aware of those things. Something like Marvel, they seemed very organized in how they were giving things out, but they seem to be capped very, very early every day. Now, one thing to note, if you have a child, particularly a cool kid with a Marvel costume on, we did notice they would have extra wristbands that they would give out throughout the day, but they were not giving them out to adults that we saw. Not to say that they weren't maybe really great cosplay, things like that, but we did see several little kids get them kind of handed to them, be able to jump in line for the Josh Brolin signing or things like that. Now, in terms of the floor, remember, just like San Diego Comic-Con, if you followed along with us there, these booths are manned by people that are not normally running booths, and so everybody's kind of in this different environment for these 3 days. But particularly here at D23 Expo, we find that they take a lot of people and take them from positions where they're not used to these types of conditions, and now they're in charge of running these signing lines and things like that. The operations inside the Disneyland park are totally different than what they are at a temporary exhibit like this convention. So, have patience with them. Understand that if a cast member working these lines doesn't know the answer, it's not because they don't want to know the answer, it's not because they're equally frustrated if they're in these tough situations. But we did see them a lot of times have to just kind of shrug and be like, yeah, I'm not sure. So make sure more than ever to ask your questions multiple times and make sure that you are getting multiple looks at how it may work out, because it could go left, it could go right. It's very hard to anticipate how some of these, for example, last year, a couple times the Pixar signings we saw get moved, and they would tell us, okay, the ticket is going to go here, and then all of a sudden it would be at the Star Wars Pavilion at the last second, because there's just so many people kind of mobbing the booth. And again, as Disney has acquired all these properties and become like so popular in terms of what they have, you can see it at the box office with all their films, it's brought more and more pressure from all these different areas. It's not the D23 Expo of 2009 or 2011. It's a very different thing with a Marvel pavilion and a Star Wars pavilion and all of that types of stuff going on. Now, real quick, they're introducing, and we don't have the details as of this recording, some of these online booking systems. So real quick on Talent Pass. The Talent Pass is going to allow you, or allow some of us, I guess, to book some spots potentially for signings. So here's how Talent Pass, what they have written. It provides reservations for talent photos, signings, and other experiences across the show floor, including a Talent Central. For Talent Central, you may reserve up to 3 Talent Passes per day. Arrive at Talent Central no later than 15 minutes prior to the start of your reserved time slot. Please see specific show floor pavilion listings for details related to those experiences. Now, we don't know exactly how that is going to work. Is it going to be a lottery system, something like Comic-Con International has done? Is there going to be a prioritization or anything like that? We don't know, but it is something to keep an eye on there for sure. Also with that, make sure you understand signings at D23 Expo are very controlled, just like the cosplay. They're asking you to come in Disney-owned properties. It's a very controlled atmosphere. Same thing with signings. It needs to be something from the event. Sometimes they ask to see a receipt. They're not wanting to bring, Avengers 103 to get signed or things like that. They specifically state no personal items may be signed. An artist sometimes will only assign with a receipt being shown there. Now, also a store pass. They've had it in the past, but this time again with an online version. It says store pass provides entry at a designated time to shop at either Disney Dream Store, Disney Store, or Mickey's of Glendale. You may reserve 1 store pass per day. Arrive at the shopping location no later than 5 minutes prior to the start of your reserved time slot. So again, changes there. I'm hoping by the time that we do the floor video, we'll be able to talk more specifically about those. If it does seem like there's going to be a real strategy to entering for these various passes and online reservations, we'll do maybe a separate video on that. Either way, more to come on the floor. It's our favorite part of the con. We have a lot of experience. We've been to every D23 Expo since 2011. We go to 30, 40, 50 conventions a year, so we have a lot of experience on the floor. We'll offer you anything we have to help, but that'll come up more in future videos and social media. right, so let's talk a little bit about panels. And again, we've got a new online reservation system coming in. We'll read what we have on that so far and maybe talk about it more in other forms. But behind us is the arena. It's one of 4 places they really list. They've got their Hall D23. That's their equivalent of their big Hall H if you're a Comic-Con fan. You've got your arena, which is your kind of ballroom 20, that next tier. Then you've got stage 28 as well as the archives. Now, in addition to that, on the floor, there'll be tons of different demonstrations, show moments, things like that. But those are kind of the big areas that they kind of list right now as their programming there. Now, they are combining the studio stuff. I know I've heard from a lot of people that they wish there was a Marvel panel, wish there was a Star Wars or a Lucasfilm panel, a Pixar panel, etc. Totally agree. I don't understand why to condense it all into that one massive panel, but we all know that's going to be kind of the Super Bowl of the weekend. So that's really what a lot of people are going to be concerned about. Now, last year, they did stipulate that they weren't going to allow lineup for the big live action panel. I believe it was until 10 p.m. That said, at 10 a.m. that day, there was over 100 people in line, and they didn't disband them. So we hate that people line up so early, but we understand that some people are going to do it, and so we would anticipate that's going to happen again this year. Now, to our records of what we got, the live action panel was at what would be capacity by people. It looks like the last people that got in were in line at 4 a.m. So something just to note there. If you're going to challenge that, we guess that's going to be even earlier, although we hate that that's the case, but that seems like that is very much a possibility there. The Parks and Resorts panel filled up 2 hours prior, so nowhere near the push, but still something that you had to get there early to be able to do. Seating is first come, first serve. They do clear panel rooms in between. They do not allow recording in most of them. Make sure to check all those details before you go. Now, in regards to the booking of things, Stage Pass guarantees entry to select sessions at Hall D23, the D23 Expo Arena, Stage 28, and the Walt Disney Archive stage. Seating is filled on a first-come, first-served basis. Stage Pass tickets are not assigned to a specific seat. You may reserve up to 2 stage passes per day, and each reservation must be for a different stage. For Hall D23, arrive at least 1 hour prior to the start of the session. For the D23 Expo Arena, Stage 28, and the Walt Disney Archive stage, arrive at least 30 minutes prior to the start of the session. So again, a change there. We're excited about the online option there. We're not a fan of lottery systems. It is what it is. We've seen it used more and more. But that being said, we'll see how it kind of plays out there. And as I said, we'll share more. If we have thoughts, if we have strategies on any of these things, we'll share more as they come. All right, since this video is focused on the general, let's talk about another general thing, is just the surrounding area. One of the nice things about the Anaheim Convention Center is its location next to the Disneyland Resort, which gives you lots of food options and things like that. The downside is exactly that as well, though. You've got all the crowds at the Disneyland Resort, you've got the parking challenges, etc. So do beware, parking can be a real challenge here. Watch the D23 Expo website to see what they're saying about it. As of this recording, they're saying basically stay tuned. But what we see every year is a big challenge. A lot of people parking out at the Anaheim, at the Angel Stadium and kind of making their way in via shuttle, things like that. If you're staying in the area, awesome. You don't have to worry about that. If you are staying, go directly, 3, 4, 5 miles away. You might want to consider Uber, Lyft, things of that nature. Toy Story parking is sometimes an option, sometimes not. They often will say no convention center parking, but do remember that they're only opening an hour before the park, so you have to weigh that in as well. It really is, we haven't found in all these years just a really easy way to approach parking with D23 Expo. We just have to make sure that we're getting in the area early and trying to navigate from there. Now, outside of that, though, a nice thing is you do have the Downtown Disney restaurants. Make sure to download the Disneyland app. If you download the Disneyland app, you'll be able to check out all the restaurant menu offerings. You can maybe even make reservations there. You can go ahead and see prices and those things. So we'll have a lot more to say and share on social media. Our tips, follow along with us in all those places. So we'll wrap up this video. And until next time, we'll see you in line at D23 Expo.